thank the Lord for the internet and you and people that help us get our name out there. Thanks for doing this, by the way, Myke.
Of course, man.
You're trying to get famous off your fame.
I have no fame, but you're welcome to whatever I have. What's going on, people? Myke Seatown here. So I recently did a review for the new album Mythical Future by the South African metal band Wildernessking. And since then, I've gotten the opportunity to finally interview these guys. Me and Keenan have been talking about doing this forever. I think it went really well. We talked about some awesome shit. Understand, though, that they are quite a long distance away, so there might be some quality issues here and there, but just bear with it. If you need to, just listen to what these guys are saying if the visuals bother you, because they say some pretty interesting shit. So yeah, that's it. Without any further ado, check out the interview. All right, so let's start off with the main question. Who in the fuck are you guys?
So we're Wildernessking, and we are a metal band from Cape Town, South Africa. I'm Keenan. I play bass and do vocals.
And write lyrics.
And hopefully the others will contribute at some point as well. That would be nice.
I'm Jason. I play drums and I write most of the lyrics.
I'm Dylan and I play guitar.
And I'm Jesse and I play guitar as well.
All right, so if somebody asks you guys, as far as being a metal band, what do you guys bring to the table that's different from everybody else?
That's so I guess a lot of people call us a black metal band, but I don't think that we're quite a black metal band. Obviously, there are strong elements of black metal in our music, definitely. But I think what makes our band unique, and maybe you can't even hear it that much when you first listen to it, but it's definitely the combination of all our influences coming together. I think if you listen deeply enough, you can. I think there are certain things separating us from a band like Death Heaven or any other atmospheric black metal band. I think we've written the songs people are hearing now are quite old, and I think we're still finding our sound and figuring it out. But I think we're getting to the point where you can just listen to a song and you'll know it's Wildernessking. But it's not quite there yet, but it's getting there.
I mean, even Keenan and I were speaking about it the other day and saying that we couldn't really be in this band if there were other members. And I think it's what he's saying as well. It's just the four people coming together with all our different lifestyles, and so everything that we bring to the table kind of makes that certain unique Wildernessking sound, which I guess we're still trying to find as well.
I think all of us come from very different musical backgrounds as well. I don't think any of us have had the same musical background. And I think that also all of that stuff coming together makes for an interesting sound. I think if one of us had to be removed, it wouldn't sound like Wildernessking anymore.
So when I listen to the new record, Mythical Future, I hear a lot of different influences when it comes to it. I hear black metal, but I also hear like some post-rock, some post-hardcore, some shoegaze. So what are some of the influences you guys have as far as being a band, and what are some of the influences that came into making and recording and, writing this record?
Yeah, so I think we, as a collective, are into more sort of like riff heavy metal in terms of like the bands that we're like, we don't really like the whole, it's not that we don't like the atmospheric thing, but in terms of where we're getting our influences from, it's like from bands like Immortal and Enslaved and Primordial and those kind of bands, whereas a lot of people would be like, oh, they sound like Death Heaven or they sound like Ashboard or whatever atmospheric band you could think of. I always feel pretty bleak when people say that, because I'm like, no, well, we don't really get any influence from those bands, So I'm just like, we listen to like real metal bands, Not that those aren't, but you know what I mean. It's not that we don't like them or anything. It's just we just don't see ourselves in the same sort of league or And I guess another thing is when people compare our band to other bands, some people might say Death Heaven, some people say Agalok, other people say Opeth and Black Breath, which is weird, but I guess we're taking a whole bunch from different bands from across the spectrum.
I think like a lot of the influence for our music doesn't come from music specifically.
Yeah.
I think like often when we try to discuss like what songs mean or where the music comes from, like I think all of us have a very big love for film. So like I've always been a fan of like the long movements of like film narratives and how things build and how things creating suspense and things letting go. And so I don't think like when it comes to music, I don't think our only influences are music. and I think it goes much more beyond that. And I think all of us have like very distinct tastes in music. I don't think like we have crossover bands, but I think all of us have very distinctive tastes.
Yeah, very much for the writing of Gods in the Sand. Ben was very much like we were talking about, like, oh, I want a section of the song that sounds like this.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, we grew up a little bit, I guess. And now when we go to a band room, I mean, that's why we have to write collaborative, because when you come to a band room, it's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, play. You just got to kind of play what you feel. And maybe after the fact, you can say, hey, it sounded like that or sounded like something else. But
exactly.
It's never in the like a first thought or anything.
So we're just talking about writing a Gods in the Sand. So Mythical Future is only your second full length. And it's when I listen to those two records together, it's almost night and day. You know, I feel like you guys are now like a completely different band. So what's the biggest difference between this record and writing a Gods in the Sand?
I think with the writing of Gods, we hadn't been playing for very long. As Wildernessking, probably like not even a year, just under a year. A lot of the songs or the ideas Dylan and I had written before Jesse had even joined the band. So basically, the way we see it is like it's like our greatest hits in a way, because it's like this is the best songs we can write in this period of time. So it's a bit all over the place, and somehow it kind of does make sense. It is fairly cohesive, but it is a bit all over the place. And Mythical Future is just a lot more focused and concentrated, whereas Writing the Gods wasn't, you know? And I think that's the main difference. But also, Mythical Future is quite old to us as well. I mean, Mythical Future, we finished writing it in September of 2013, so it's just taken a long time to get out. But we feel that we've progressed so much since then already, but people haven't heard that yet because they don't know our third album. So
because White Horses was literally written at the tail end of Writing Gods.
The recording of Writing Gods.
Yeah, it was literally written in 2012.
Yeah,
the whole song we wrote it, I think, in like
one day. Yeah, that's been super encouraging actually. How people have taken to this new album. When I guess a big part of us has also kind of passed it, and now I'm also kind of reliving the album again because people are responding to it in like, you know, encouraging ways. So
yeah, and I guess one of the main differences between the two is like when we did Writing of Gods and we released it, we were like, well, we can actually do this. We kind of really like what came out of it. Yeah. If only we did this better, this better, this better, this better, and that was Mystical Future. Just us ticking off the list of things we wanted to do better.
So this album, I found the way you guys recorded it to be pretty interesting. So tell me about the recording process of this record.
So we recorded drums at a studio, actually very close to where we recorded the whole of Writing of Gods in the Sand. We recorded drums in a studio in St. James, and a good friend of ours, he engineered the session. And then we got the drums back, and then we actually recorded all the guitars and the bass in this very room where we're in right now. So we called it all dry signal, and then the signal
reamping.
Yeah, reamped by Jack Shirley in the States. So yeah, we just sent over the sort of raw guitar sound and bass. Yeah.
The nice thing about it was actually easy to track this album because, as we were talking about earlier, we'd had the tracks for quite a while. We've been listening to like band mixes of the tracks for about anywhere between 6 months and a year, I'm guessing, and I can't really remember. So when we actually had time to actually lay down the tracks and be like, against the final versions, we almost wanted to take that kind of like cathartic approach to it and just be like, yeah, we've done the track, now let's send it away.
Basically all it was is like, instead of like recording like a live guitar sound, like everything is live, but all that was done was the sounds we recorded were rerouted through a live system. So it's basically, it's like us playing there, but it was just being rerouted and then re-recorded on the other side.
Gotcha.
With like amps.
Yeah.
Just because I think on the first album, Writing of Gods, we recorded straight. We recorded everything live.
Yeah.
And
I guess there were little things we wanted to tweak in terms of just improving on our sound, and we kind of did that with this album.
And just in terms of costs as well, I mean, even here in Cape Town, it's quite pricey to go up to a studio and like book it for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that.
It's not feasible.
Unfortunately, we can't do that. I mean, a niche genre, and on top of it, a niche genre at the southern tip of Africa, it's like we can't really find someone who's going to be as passionate about it. And so the things that we can take care of ourselves, we kind of do.
Yeah.
Yes, there might be like a bit of a drop in quality or something like that, but hopefully one day we get to the stage where we have the resources to do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're going to give up now. We just kind of keep pushing for it, you know. So recording was actually quite nice.
What are some of the ideas and themes that are present in Mystical Future? Like, what are you guys trying to get across with this new album?
I guess for me personally, like it is a lot more personal. Like lyrically, it's a lot more personal. It just kind of, again, with the Act of Gods, we felt like, okay, this is the best song we can write. Okay, I'm thinking these are the best words I can put together. I'm put it together and we record whatever. But Mythical Future just felt a bit more like living through certain experiences and like trying to like capture that moment. So I think there's definitely a lot of the themes of I guess is sort of love themes in the album. But you know, it sounds silly to say, but it's definitely that. Like loss, nostalgia is a huge one. I guess, and maybe even the album cover for the vinyl even talks about a nostalgic time in your life, maybe like being on the beach or something, or you know. So I definitely think nostalgia is a big one.
I mean, I know some people say it's uplifting and stuff, but I don't know, from my point of view, I think it's quite a dark album.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that maybe our EP, The Devil Within, is a bit more uplifting than this. But maybe I'm hearing it with weird ears. But you know, where The Devil Within was maybe like looking at like yourself and the pain and stuff inside. Mystical Future is just like, okay, now you've done that, you've dealt with that, now move forward. But obviously, you're moving forward with all these memories and everything that you've had before. Maybe all the high points or the low points, just putting it into a nice, proper, solid full length and just letting it go. That's why it almost seems like very, like sometimes grating at times and depressive, but then it's very uplifting at other times. It's just because of
Life cycles,
the whole ups and downs that we had, you know. Yeah.
I think all of us were going through like quite big transitions in our lives. I think we all at very different stages.
Yeah.
And a lot of it for me was quite like, I suppose, meditative in a sense. I think we were all going through very personal things in our own lives. And I think that came through in the music, which is probably why like certain people brought different songs. And why I think there's an idea of like aggressiveness in some songs, and maybe that was like a particular aspect of that what needed to come through, but there's also that calming aspect of us kind of maybe like feeling a bit more relaxed and a bit more confident in ourselves.
Yeah.
But I definitely think with Mystical Future as opposed to Writing of God, I think that was where I think the music became much more personal.
Mm-hmm.
And a better reflection of who we were as people. And I think it's almost like a narrative of our personal lives in a sense. And I think that's why it's difficult to describe and to give like a linear answer to.
Yeah.
Because those songs all represent so many facets, different facets of each of us. And it's all those things coalescing that are kind of, it's difficult to kind of like describe what it means as
like in a black and white answer.
A black and white answer.
And even as you were saying earlier, like with Writing of Gods in the Sand, we wanted to write an album that we would love listening to. And that was Mystical Future. We wanted to write our album, the album that we put forward.
Yeah.
And like that's why it's very difficult for us to now look back and be like, but what were we trying to get across? We were trying to get across honesty, I guess. That's kind of a nice way, I guess, to look at it, you know.
You guys just did an insane music video. I'm gonna need you guys to. You don't have to go into detail, but I'm gonna need you guys to explain what were the what were the ideas behind that video? Like the weird dude with like the mop head and then the wrestling. And what I'm saying is I fucking love that video. It's so
That's a good comment. Thank you, Mike.
But what the hell? What's going on there?
The director became a friend because he liked the band. He liked some black metal, but more cult and weird stuff. And we became friends, and then he was like, look, I would love to do a music video for you guys. And I knew that he was a very like well-known local photographer. And I was like, oh yeah, man, it'd be amazing if you did a video for us. You know, we haven't done a really proper budget, like film crew video. So yeah, we're keen to do something. And he presented the concept to us. Technically what those guys are, they're wrestlers, they're local South African wrestlers, and they fight nationally. And the one gets possessed eventually by a Sangoma. And the Sangoma is a witch doctor. It's like a traditional thing. They come from KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. We wanted to go for a very like African element because, well, we're African and that's our vibe. So he presented the concept. We were like, yeah, man, it sounds awesome. Let's do it. And basically, the one guy gets possessed and uses that strength through his possession to kill the other guy, basically.
And I think the mop head is like the demon that's possessing him. Yeah. Which is why when you see at the end the mop head kind of then going back into the ground, he kind of has that guilt coming out towards him because now that spirit has left him and he has to be, and he kind of is now left with the guilt of what he's just done.
Yeah, and so that demon's like the director's interpretation of what a Sangoma is or looks like. but yeah, they're a ritualistic witch doctor.
That brings me to my next question. So I initially found you guys when I discovered Writing of Gods in the Sand. I don't remember how I found it, but I did. And I ended up putting you guys on my best of 2012 list.
You don't like our band name. We didn't forget that.
That's what I was going to ask you. I made a comment in the video where I said that I was like, this is an awesome band, but I think they have a terrible band name. And I feel like such a dick for doing it. Ever since I made that video, I've wondered, what does that band name mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's quite an easy answer. Why? Just out of curiosity, why didn't you like it on when you heard it?
I think it's a difference between here and there. Like, I think it's like a culture thing. Like, if I was in the States and some dude walked up and said, "Yo, I'm in a band called Wildernessking," I'd be like, "All right, you guys, you have to suck. There's no way you're good." Honestly, I think it might just be like that might just come off sounding a little bit different than it would here, because I've turned on a lot of my friends to you guys, and they've almost all said the same thing. Like, what the hell does that band name mean? Like, what the hell is Wildernessking? And I'm always like, dude, no, this band's rad. So now I want to be able to, when they say, well, what does that band name mean? Blah, blah, blah. I want to be able to say, motherfucker, it means this.
What the band name means is like, I think Jesse and I were speaking about it initially, because we were called Heathens before.
Yes.
And we wanted a name that wasn't so limiting. You know, if Christians want to start a band, they can. So we don't want to be called Heathens anymore. So then we were like, okay, let's find a word that we really like. And because we knew we were really into hiking and being outdoors. So like, oh, the wilderness is like a really cool thing.
There's a town here as well, yeah.
And there's also a town in South Africa called Wilderness. It's like a really beautiful coastal town. So that's where we've got Wilderness. I think the king part was to say like sort of the wilderness is king. So we're just like Wilderness King. So it's kind of say like sort of like a reverence towards nature in a way, kind of thing. Just
also
because
life as well,
yeah,
just like the universe in a sense,
yeah,
and just like how small we are. And
yeah, exactly.
I think it was more than, for me, it was like more than nature. I think also in those early years of like Heathens, Wilderness King, there was like very much that like nature aesthetic attached to it, like roots and everything. But I think especially with the new album, it's gone more towards, I suppose, design oriented. Well, not design oriented, but
in terms of like it's more thematic rather than just being a nature.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's more like, I suppose for me, it would be more like a cosmos thing in a sense, and just something that's all encompassing and like.
Tell your friends we call Cosmos King.
Cosmos King.
I think I heard the name for the first time from Keenan the one day, and then he still told me, he was like, I think he was throwing out ideas for band names, and he said like, blah, 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 and he said Wilderness King, we're probably you're going to maybe stick with that one. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, we were called Heathens, we now called Wilderness King, and then I was like, probably the same as with you. I was like, that's all right, you know. And then I think it took about like 1 month or 2 months, and I still remember going up to Keenan and being like, that is the best band name I've ever heard. But for the first part of it, I was just like, oh, cool, it's just a name change. Like, let's just carry on playing music, let's just do what we do. Yeah. And then like it kind of, the thematic elements kind of hit home for me, like about the Wilderness King being king, and then you could also be king of the wilderness. Like, I always speak about like when we did like Devil Within and stuff, like a very introspective album, and about how you can actually be on top of that. So there's wilderness inside you, and you're the king of it. You're on top of it. Yeah. And so it's got that double-edged meaning, which has kind of evolved through the years. But when I first heard it, I was like, that's cool. And now, like after about, I don't know how long we've been in the band for. Like now I'm like, it can't be called anything else, you know, like, and so that's a really cool feeling.
Yeah. So when you sit there, Myke, I know you still apologized on our Facebook status, and I was like, dude, it's so chill. We fucking love on it. Okay, you know, like, but yeah, that's just to give it a bit more like meaning. I hope that helps.
That absolutely helps. For the record, the name doesn't bother me anymore. It was just initially it was just like, that's a weird name. But whatever.
Yeah, but it's just like the name kind of loses its meaning after a while anyway. So it just becomes, you just think of it as that band. So if our name still bothers you, maybe just be like, oh, maybe the music makes up for it. So.
Absolutely. No, the name really doesn't bother me anymore at all. So I like it even more now that you guys have explained it. Now it's my favorite band name ever. All right, so I have one more question. And this is basically a pretty general question, but what are you guys doing next? I'm talking about album-wise, and I'm also talking about, are you going to be doing any tours? Is there a chance you guys come into the States?
We have a new EP coming out in the first week of April called Levitate. And it's a 2-song EP, and was the first time we tracked as a band live. So we played everything together. It's the first time we've done that, which is really cool. And then we have a friend of ours who's playing piano on both songs. And it's a 7-inch. Both songs are just under 5 minutes each. So that's the next thing. That's like quite soon. And then after that, our plan is we're busy writing for a 3rd album now. So we hopefully want to record at some point this year. Definitely before the end of the year, we would have recorded a 3rd album. We have about 4 songs in, and it's 1,000 times better than Mythical Future. And then hopefully next year, we're definitely going to go to Europe. We were actually talking about this before. It's a meeting with you now. We're definitely planning a European tour, and then we've gotten so many fans from the States over the last couple of months, and just from our new album, and obviously because you've spoken about us, and we've gotten really good reviews, and we've gotten so many fans from the States, and everyone's like, oh, if you come to Minneapolis, if you come to New York, or you can stay on our couch, like, please come play. So, but yeah, our plan is to get over there at some point. Maybe not next year, maybe the year after, but in the not too distant future, we're gonna come over, definitely. That's where all our fans are, man. Our fans, we have more fans there than we have here, so it makes more sense to play there than it makes sense to play here. So
Absolutely.
So right now, I guess we're just kind of focusing on the writing of the 3rd length. As Keenan said, we've got about 4 songs.
Yeah.
And then we've got like another whole bunch of ideas, and then even a bigger circle of like thoughts. So there's actually the problem is actually trying to get them down to some tracks that we want to put on the album. I mean, we, as we were saying earlier, we do take the full lengths like the most seriously. I mean, maybe Ryan of Gods in the Sand was still like young, but from now on, I know that each full length we put out, we really want it to be, as Jesse was saying, like a nice thematic movement, and want to be well thought out. So
I mean, that's all I got. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we wrap this up?
Like for me at least, I just want to say thank you for taking the time, because I mean, like being a band from South Africa, it's kind of an honor for us to have these interviews. And I think even though we like operating on a very small scale, I think we've managed to make a lot of great relationships from the music. And we're just really grateful to be doing what we do, and we really wish to continue doing what we do. And yeah, so thanks for your great channel, and thanks for all your great reviews. And I mean, it's an extreme honor to be on your platform.
Yeah, thanks, Myke. Really, it's amazing.
Stop.
Like, well, your opinion matters, man, and people fucking listen to what you say. So it's so nice to be able to do this, and it's just also, I guess, it's more exposure for us, and maybe people that don't know you will know when we share this video. We'll get to hear about you and the stuff you do, because you put people onto some really amazing music and put me onto some, especially good hip hop. You know, that's why I come to you. I'm not coming to you for metal. I know all the stuff. I'm coming to you for the hip hop stuff, man. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. And I just want to say thanks to everyone in the States and in Europe who supports our band. We appreciate it so much. Thank you guys.
So much so.
One last thing.
Sure.
Your top 5 albums.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, not bad.
Of all time, right now?
Okay.
Of course, I want to say thank you to Wildernessking for actually sitting down with me and having this awesome interview. I definitely hope to do it again. And you guys, if you have not listened to their new album, Mythical Future, make sure you do that. I will put a link to the Bandcamp down there. Click it, listen to it, like it, love it, buy it, support it, share it, all that good shit. Alright? As usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I will see you guys next time. Alright?